Zixal's 4 eyes tracked the holographic display with practiced precision, each pupil dilating independently as it processed the surveillance data streaming from Earth. The assignment had seemed routine when the Galactic Council's Intelligence Division handed it down. Observe the newly contacted species called humans, and catalog their behavioral patterns for the xenocultural database. Primitive but promising, read the initial briefing. Recently achieved faster-than-light communication. Bipedal mammals with curious social structures. Recommend standard observation protocols. 3 months into the assignment, Zixal had filled 17 digital folders with mundane human activities, their inefficient work cycles, their bizarre mating rituals, their tendency to form emotional attachments to small domesticated predators they called cats. The Kalrathi observer had begun to wonder if this posting was punishment for questioning Superior Vex's tactical decisions. During the Andorian incident, everything changed on day 94. The proximity alarms in Zixal's cloaked observation vessel shrieked with an urgency that made its translator glands secrete stress chemicals. Through the ship's sensors, it detected massive energy signatures dropping out of hyperspace, signatures it recognized with bone-deep terror. Devourers. The name alone was enough to make seasoned warriors void their digestive sacs. Zixal had studied the classified files, an ancient mechanical species that consumed entire worlds, stripping them of all organic matter before moving on to their next target. The Galactic Council had lost 14 colonies to devourer swarms in the past century, despite deploying their most advanced fleets. And now a full harvesting armada was bearing down on Earth. Zixal's training screamed at it to retreat, to gather intelligence and report back to the Council. Standard protocol demanded immediate withdrawal to minimum safe distance. But as it watched the first wave of devourer ships descend toward the unsuspecting human world, something unexpected happened. The humans fought back, not with the desperate, futile resistance Zixal had witnessed on other doomed worlds, but with a coordination and ferocity that defied all xenobiological models. Within hours of the first attack, human military forces had reorganized from their scattered peacekeeping operations into a unified defense network. Their primitive kinetic weapons, which the Council had dismissed as quaint relics, began inflicting actual damage on devourer hull plating. But it was what happened next that made Zixal question everything it thought it knew about warfare. The humans began adapting. Each devourer tactical pattern was met not just with resistance but with innovation. When the mechanical invaders deployed their standard energy dampening fields, human engineers jury-rigged backup systems using completely different technological approaches. When devourer scouts adapted to conventional radar, human forces switched to acoustic detection arrays built from repurposed musical instruments and seismic monitoring equipment. Zixal found itself leaning closer to its displays, no longer cataloging human behavior but learning from it. On day 7 of the invasion, disaster struck Zixal's position. A devourer patrol craft detected the Kalrathi vessel's energy signature and opened fire. The first blast shattered the ship's primary engines and sent it spinning toward Earth's surface. Zixal barely managed to engage emergency protocols before impact, its vessel crashing in what human maps labeled as the Colorado Rockies. Half-conscious and bleeding luminescent fluid from multiple wounds, Zixal activated its personal beacon and prepared to die with dignity. The devourers would find it within hours. At least the Council would eventually receive its observational data. Instead, humans found it first. The search and rescue team moved with the same adaptive efficiency Zixal had observed from orbit. Despite never encountering Kalrathi physiology, they quickly determined which of its injuries were critical and applied improvised medical solutions. A human female named Sarah Chen, who introduced herself as a park ranger, somehow intuited that Zixal's respiratory system required a different atmospheric mixture and constructed a makeshift breathing apparatus, using camping supplies and a fundamental understanding of chemistry. "Don't try to talk," Sarah said, her words translated by Zixal's damaged but functional universal communicator. "We're getting you somewhere safe." Safe turned out to be a hastily constructed underground facility where human scientists, military personnel, and civilians worked together with the same impossible coordination Zixal had witnessed in their orbital defense. When it finally recovered enough to communicate, Zixal shared its intelligence about devourer tactical patterns and weaknesses. The humans listened. More importantly, they immediately began developing countermeasures based on Zixal's briefings. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a human xenobiologist, spent hours with Zixal, not just extracting information but genuinely seeking to understand Kalrathi perspective on the enemy. Commander James Wright incorporated Zixal's tactical insights into human military doctrine with a flexibility that would have impressed council strategists. Even the facility's support staff, humans whose job classifications had nothing to do with warfare, contributed ideas that proved surprisingly effective. The turning point came when Zixal mentioned the Devourer's reliance on quantum-entangled communication networks. The humans, working with technology centuries behind council standards, found a way to exploit this weakness using principles their physicists called quantum decoherence jamming. Within 18 hours, human forces had deployed the new weapon. Devourer coordination collapsed as their swarm intelligence fragmented into individual units, operating on outdated tactical subroutines. The mechanical invaders, stripped of their primary advantage, fell back in confusion. But the humans weren't finished. Using captured Devourer technology and Zixal's knowledge of their repair protocols, human engineers reverse-engineered a computer virus, a concept that didn't exist in Galactic Council databases. They loaded it onto a captured scout ship and sent it back to the main fleet. The virus spread through the Devourer network like wildfire, causing cascading system failures across the entire armada. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia began shutting down or turning on each other, as corrupted code rewrote their base programming. Within a week, the invasion was over. Not just repelled, completely destroyed. Zixal stood in the communications center, watching human technicians establish contact with the Galactic Council. Its original mission seemed laughably inadequate now. How could anyone observe humans and miss their most remarkable quality, their ability to take any situation, no matter how hopeless, and find a way to not just survive but thrive? When Superior Vex's image appeared on the main screen, Zixal straightened to attention. "Observer Zixal," the Superior's translated voice carried notes of surprise. "Your survival is unexpected. We detected the Devourer presence and assumed your mission was terminated." "The mission parameters have changed, Superior," Zixal replied. "I request permission to file a supplemental report." "Granted." Zixal looked around the room at the humans who had saved its life, who had accomplished something the Galactic Council's greatest military minds had deemed impossible. Sarah Chen caught its gaze and offered what humans called a smile, an expression of approval and friendship. "Recommendation," Zixal began. "Immediate initiation of formal alliance protocols with the human species. Classification upgrade from observe to recruit. Additional note: previous threat assessments of Devourer capabilities require complete revision." The Superior's image flickered with what Zixal recognized as confusion. "Explain." "The humans didn't just survive the Devourer attack, Superior. They won. Decisively. And in the process, they taught me something our species has forgotten. Sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't technology or superior numbers. Sometimes it's the willingness to adapt, to innovate, and to never accept that a situation is hopeless." Zixal paused, watching the data stream that showed scattered Devourer wreckage being collected by human salvage teams. "They told me to watch humans, Superior. Instead, they saved my life and showed me how to save the galaxy." The transmission ended, but Zixal remained in the communications center, already composing its real report, not just an observation log, but a blueprint for survival that the Galactic Council desperately needed to learn. Outside, humans were already looking toward the stars, preparing for whatever challenge might come next. And for the first time in its career, Zixal was eager to face the unknown alongside them.